Hi, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Pushing Beyond the Obvious. This is the show where we invite thought leaders and practitioners to come and talk about their experience, share their insights around the topics of leadership and how we can become leaders worth following. So, in that series today, I'm super happy to host my friend Vineet Kumar. So, Vineet, can I ask you to quickly introduce yourself and maybe share a little bit about the work that you have done so far?
Yeah, thanks, Mukesh. Really appreciate and this opportunity to join your show. And super pleasure to be part of this series. So, as you know, I've been a marketing leader with SAP for almost about 15 years. And before that, I worked with organizations of various size and scale, geography, and industry for almost about 15 years before I joined SAP. So, my my area of expertise has been about scaling organizations from a marketing perspective. And I would say I've done this multiple time over, whether it was setting up a retail organization or taking a telecom company global or launching cloud solutions for SAP. So yeah, been a very fulfilling journey for me thus far. You're muted, Mukesh.
So many years and still rookie mistake. Sorry about that. So, first questions first. The podcast is all about leadership, right? So, what does leadership mean to you? What do you think leadership is all about?
See, frankly, to me, leadership is all about guiding through the unknown. Okay. And especially in the current context of uncertainty, I look up to leaders to help me make sense of this uncertainty around me. Uh, and I would say, from a leadership perspective, there are many theories or many, uh, I would say, guides around who and what a leadership can be or about. For me, there are four key attributes which I kind of happen to believe based on my learning and experience about effective leadership. Uh, I think some of the role that leaders play is predominantly about sense making. So when we say sense making, it is about, are leaders able to kind of navigate the uncertainty? Are they able to kind of really make sense of the new trend or the unknown? Second, I would say, is about relatability. So are leaders able to kind of relate to people and the sentiments and what it takes to really go through that journey? Third is about visioning. How do leader paint a picture of future for the team? And obviously, the most important one is what is called inventing, which is where can leaders bring the vision alive? Can they kind of really lay the path and to say, how do you get from what is the future and kind of direct the steps that leads to the future? So in my view, so this is how, or this is what you need to perfect as a leader, and you do it again and again to build your credibility with the team.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I think I had written about this long back, probably fifth or sixth edition of my LinkedIn newsletter. I said the role of the leader is to move people from uncertainty to certainty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I've talked about as well. And similar to what you are talking about, I've been thinking about what leaders should be doing, and kind of four-step process that I think about. I'm planning to write about is um, leaders need to be able to seek the right inputs, make sense of them. So seek, sense, say, which is all about communication based on whatever you've made sense of, can also be around the visioning, and do, which is or act. So it is not enough for a leader to just say or create a vision, but they also need to be able to create the conditions needed for their people to be able to go out and achieve the vision that the leader has set out for the entire organization as well. So, which is very interesting because you come from different angle and you kind of end up at very similar areas as well, right?
Yeah, see, Mukesh, I think in my view, leadership is one topic which is the most researched and most written about uh, when it comes to academic uh, research, right? And more and more you read about this particular topic, I'm sure somebody would resonate more with one theory versus another. But I think in essence, it's about how do you kind of really build trust and confidence of the people that you are kind of representing or engaging with. Formal, informal, personal, professional scenarios, I would say more or less it all leads to the same thing, which is how do you build trust and how do you gain credibility by doing things over and over.
Very, very important things. Um, so I think you introduced yourself as a marketing leader, right? So we spoke about leadership. So now let's talk about marketing.
Mhm.
So what is marketing at its crux? And do you think as leaders we need to think about marketing? And if yes, why? If no, why not?
Yeah, see, before that, I would say let's talk about what is marketing. Okay. So, as many, again, like leadership, there are many theories about or definitions of marketing that exist from an academics point of view. So, if you ask me what is marketing, I would say marketing is predominantly a process of attracting customers and hence generating revenue for a business. Okay. And traditionally, marketing has been a combination of art and a science as a discipline, okay, wherein you kind of leverage those processes to kind of derive outcome. And now if you have to kind of extrapolate the thinking of marketing to leaders and to person, I would say everybody has to be a marketing leader. Either they are representing their organization in formal, informal settings, or they are representing themselves in an environment. And to me, actually, more than marketing, it is about the relevance of brand. Because while marketing is a process of attracting new or existing customers to generate revenue, but brand is more relevant than marketing in this particular context, Mukesh. Because brand is actually about a promise that you make to your audience. And that promise could be made by an individual or could be made by a company. So when, for example, when you look at individuals, and there are certain individuals who are a lot big brands themselves today, whether you look at maybe Barack Obama, or you look at maybe some of the sports stars, be it
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, or even Neil, and even uh, Virat Kohli, or wherever you look at, all these people have kind of tried to build a brand on a promise for their audience. It's a sense of, or it's a kind of continuity of either they promise an aggression, or they promise a logical reasoning, or they promise humor. Everybody is trying to kind of appeal to a certain audience via their certain characteristics. And why I say that is because as an individual or as a organization, every brand has to go through a process. And most of the time, marketing process defines that brand development into STPA, which is nothing but having to carve out a segment, figuring out your target audience, building your positioning, and hence having an action to address these. So in my view, whether you are an individual or whether you are an organization, you need to build a brand for yourself so that you can kind of develop and have trust with your audience. A very interesting quote I remember, I don't remember the person who said that, was actually brand is all about that people talk when you are not there in the room.
Yeah. So that's your brand. And
That's your brand. Negative, positive, good, bad, ugly, but that's the brand that you have built, and that's what kind of represents you when you are not there in the room.
that also means that it is not necessary that you are in control of your own brand. It is about what others think and talk and feel about your brand, which is what constitutes your brand. So you may do a lot of things to cultivate a specific brand, but you may not necessarily be in control of what the narrative is or what the brand is. Is that right?
Okay, so I'll spin this into say, actually, not only individual, nobody is in control of what their customer perceive about a brand, right? Which is why if you look at, there are amongst us, there would be certain amount of people who would follow or who would consume a certain brand versus another. Okay. For example, there are diehard Coke fans and there are diehard Pepsi lover. How do that process happen? The process of brand followers follows, I would say, instincts or the communication that you kind of, let's call it signals. Every brand sends signals to their audience, which are received positively, neutral, or negatively by their audience. And hence people start to relate to those signals based on their own personal attributes. Okay, which is true to individual, which is true to professional brands. And when you say people perceive you and talk about you in a certain way, is actually the reason or is an outcome of the signals or the attributes that you demonstrate.
Okay, so that brings us to the question of what are some of the things that as leaders we can do in order to build the kind of brand that we want to have, or the signals that we send out to the audience that we have, whom we are planning to lead. So what can as a leader do?
I would say the first and foremost, it's about being authentic.
So what does being authentic mean? I mean, I've been having this conversation about authenticity with a lot of people these days, and there seems to be a general consensus that uh, being authentic for the sake of authentic is probably not the right thing to be. So does being authentic mean that if for example, I'm stressed out, I being authentic, does it mean that I come across stressed, or is there uh, is there something that I need to do, which probably may not necessarily be truly authentic because I'm feeling stressed and angry, but I'm still able to present a calm veneer to everyone that I come in contact with. So what does authenticity really mean from that point of view?
See, authenticity, Mukesh, is exactly what you just explained. Be who you are and come across as who exactly you are in that particular situation is what authenticity would mean about. Okay. So when you say, should I demonstrate that I'm stressed in a situation or not, right? I would say that again depends on how much vulnerability you want to show across to your team or not. Okay. There is no super god or superhuman right now. Everybody goes through their own set of challenges and crises, and having to demonstrate or having to say and come across as somebody who's going through the same, I would say is not different. In my personal view, authenticity is about being able to open yourself to people that you work with, who follows you, or who even idolize you. That is what is meant by authenticity. Some people may be comfortable, some people may not be comfortable. Some people may get nervous about that I demonstrated my not so good side to an audience that which I wanted to always come across as an ideal or a perfect candidate.
So does that mean being authentic is all about us as leaders, or is it about for example, how does the audience know that you are being authentic?
See, okay, I think people know it. There is no way to kind of say I'm being authentic now. Because if you are open and if you are authentic, then you are authentic and you are open all the time. You cannot say I will be open only between this part of the day, or I will be open only to this particular audience. So the point of view that I have is, if you are authentic and open, you are open and authentic to everyone, or you are not to anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Point taken.
Because you cannot be a different person to different set of people.
Got it. So, sorry, I stopped you when you were talking about brand, and so you were saying authenticity and a few more, right? So, what do I do as a leader to build a brand? So you said be authentic.
So to build your own brand, okay, like I said, you have to go through the entire process of what we call as a marketing process of STPA. And what I'm talking about is positioning yourself or building a brand for yourself. Okay. And when you build a brand, it is important for you as to who are you going to kind of appeal to as an audience. Okay, so we're going to get a little technical here, but the idea is you need to kind of craft imagery for yourself and hence carve out a set of people that you would like to appeal to. For example, in a professional environment, it could be about future employers. In a corporate environment, it could be about positioning to customers as a technical expert or as a solution leader. Or it could be to a set of friends who you want to kind of gain followers. So it depends clearly about who you want to kind of position yourself, and the action that follows will depend on who your target audience are, and hence what value or what differentiation that these audience really care about. Okay. So which is typically building, I would say, or way of building a particular brand. Either you call it individual or professional, it follows more or less the same principles.
So that's the first step, which is to identify the segment that you want to do. So Then the T stands for
targeting.
Mhm.
Because amongst the segment, most of the time it's very wide. Okay. Either you may want to target it by geography, or you may want to target via psychographics, or you may want to target it via emotional factors.
Okay.
And then comes the important part of positioning. You have to have a unique value proposition, and I'm sure we have always heard about this term a lot. So what is your unique value proposition versus another? And especially if you are looking at building your personal brand versus a company, you may not have those many marketing dollars to put behind building your brand. So hence, the aspect of really bringing a unique value proposition is important.
Okay.
Okay. And which is obviously then followed up by what we call as marketing actions.
So what
So
do you mean by
marketing
that?
action in this case could be, let's say, what you do, for example, Mukesh, bringing in a podcast series, which helps you drive audience engagement, or it could be about writing white paper, or maybe publishing blogs and newsletters, which obviously also you do to gain traction with a set of audience that follow or that engages with you.
Okay. So given that there is this framework, and if you follow the framework, probably we'll come to the point in terms of okay, so here is the set of people that I want to create a brand for, and here is how I'm gonna target them with specific actions, positioning myself to be, let's say, a thought leader, solution leader, a sales expert, or whatever it is that I want to position myself as. So where do you see the most mistakes being done uh, from individuals or leaders trying to create a personal brand for themselves? Where in this process do you think leaders make the most mistake, and why?
Okay, so see, I would be saying something very big out of my what should I say, out of my remit, but I will still say it. I think the biggest mistake people make is not sharing their own point of views, or not sharing or confusing between a point of view of an organization that they represent versus themselves representing. Okay.
So your own voice is what you're saying.
So one is your own voice. Second is you are not the organization. And I can challenge you to see a lot of such leaders who I have seen lose their audience and engagement the moment they lose their official position in the organization. So for leaders and for brands to confuse their official designation or a position in an organization to their individual leadership is where the biggest dichotomy is from my perspective.
Interesting. So while you may support and continue to take the position that the organization that you represent, but you still need to have a unique perspective of point of view that you bring to the table.
That is your point of view. Okay. And frankly, I can share now my own experience wherein in one of my in one of the organization where I was working, I had this this opportunity to drive what we used to call as personal brand and social amplification program. And now I laugh at it, Mukesh, because one of the key objective or KRA for us was getting employees to share companies' point of views as much as possible. And I still remember a person who kind of challenged me on that. He said, you know what, Vineet, I am not comfortable sharing organizational voice and organizational point of view the way it is, because it is my own personal brand. And
Interesting.
now if I think of it more and more, I actually appreciate that stance, and that point of view is to say, it is not about organizational brand voice. It is about my own point of view on how and what is going on.
Hmm.
And hence, in my later half in running this program, I started to kind of look at this in a different way. Because earlier I used to look at it as a way of kind of saying or getting the word out from an organizational point of view. But later on, I started to appreciate and understand what it really means for individual brands.
Hmm. Okay. And how does one go about building that point of view? So it is easy to say that your organizational point of view should not be your personal point of view, and you need to have your own unique point of view. So then the question that always comes back is, okay, I mean, how do I build that or develop that point of view, which is um, my own, which is uniquely my own, but at the same time is not very contradictory to the organization that I represent. Because ultimately, if you go out and start talking about on topics which your organization has a very a view, and you have a completely contrary view, you're not going to be part of that organization for a long period of time. That's the reality of life.
Yes, that is. So see, in that perspective, Mukesh, you have to look at if you feel passionately about certain things, that is the only way you will have a point of view. So the starting point is that you need to be passionate about certain things which kind of interperse into your professional life. Or you may have passion about things which have nothing to do with your profession.
Yeah. So for example, in my case, writing
Yeah.
is something that I write about topics which I'm not officially held responsible for in a way.
Yeah. So hence we talk and we build our brand around the topics which we are passionate about. And interestingly, while you said about organizational sharing and brand voice, I'll tell you one yardstick for that is very simple. What if you join some other organization, and when you look back in your, let's say, social media profile, and you don't have to delete anything? That's a very simple, I would say, benchmark or a tool to say what do you publish and what you don't.
Interesting. But does
Okay.
anybody do that at all? I mean,
Yeah,
who
I will
goes
give
back?
you a very recent example. Okay. We all know just in July, Microsoft Windows crash happened, and everywhere around the world there were crises, right? Around, especially from a technology perspective. I
Mhm.
would not name, but I can tell you there were at least a few friends and common network people on the network on on the social network from Google Cloud, and who were posting about how Google Cloud is still up and running and everything is working fine, while taking a pot shot at Microsoft Azure.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm saying, think about our organizational or professional careers, who knows where you land in few years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I was somebody who was part of the ethics or compliance team, I would make sure these people have some kind of an explaining before they are rehired into a new organization.
Interesting. Interesting take for sure. So, have you seen someone go about building a personal brand leader? I mean, let's leave entertainment and sports industry
Yeah.
out of it. Let's leave Elon Musk out of it. Um, Amongst people like you and me, someone who's built a good brand by following, the practice that or the process that you've shared, and that you think embodies what you just said, which is, being authentic, being having a unique point of view, and in a way that, at any point in time doesn't have to go back and delete anything. So do you know of someone that you can talk to us about? You may, if possible, name them. If not, it's okay, but at
No,
least.
so Mukesh, in my last 14 years career with SAP, when I joined in, there was a gentleman who assumed the responsibility as a co-CEO of the company,
Mhm,
a gentleman named Bill McDermott.
mhm,
Okay. And I can tell you, in last 14 years, the gentleman has transformed from the CEO of a largest German software company to the biggest B2B CEO or technology brand CEO in the world today. Okay. And if you look at, I admire his transformation from where I have seen at least a large part of his professional journey.
mm,
How we interact, how we engage, how we communicate, how he comes across, how we give access to his life to people within the organization and outside. I still remember receiving an email from Bill, I think about a few years back, when he had a fall and injured his eye. I've never seen anybody talk about their personal fall to the entire organization.
interesting. Very
So,
interesting.
so if you ask me, somebody who I've seen building brick by brick their entire profile and their entire brand is one individual that straight away comes into my mind is Bill McDermott.
Mm. Okay, point
And
taken.
and he relates. I can tell you, I speak to a very wide variety of leaders and people, and there is a huge admiration club about Bill. People who have not even worked with him in or been part of the organization.
Mm. That's what gets spoken about you behind your back
Yeah.
that you spoke about.
So
Interesting.
yeah, and obviously there are many, I would say, who have built their credibility over a period of time. There are few in our office, or used to be in our office, even how they have gone about building their own brand.
Mm. Nice. So I think one of the things that I personally believe that all of us needs to do on an ongoing basis to stay relevant as a leader in the organization or in any form is to learn. So how do you learn on an ongoing basis? And what are you learning right now?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Actually, an important one as well. See, I think, and when you say that, I'm reflecting on my last couple of months where I've not been part of a large organization anymore. Okay. See, I would not be kind of making this statement if I would not have been out of this organization. And Mukesh, the growth and the learning experience has been exponential. And what I say, or why I say that, is because at a corporate environment or in a large organization, actually you are looking at a very small part of the puzzle, or get exposed to a certain technology or a certain learning process, whether you like it or not, is very limited to what you can deliver for an organization. And I'm conscious of the fact when I say this, that most of the time organization wants to bring learning to you so that you can be productive in your role or in delivering outcome from an organization. However, in my view, to develop as a leader or to kind of expand your horizon, you need to seek a lot beyond what is being offered to you from the organizational perspective. Okay. For me, how do I do that? I think I would call myself somebody who actually goes and participate in many type of watering holes. So I get to kind of sample a different kind of tonic, if you call it, in a different watering hole, whether it is kind of engaging with startup founders, engaging with corporate leaders, or VCs, or even real tech geeks. So every time I go to a different watering hole, I would say I get different type of an acknowledgement and enlightenment. So hence, if you have to ask me, I would say, what is the diversity of your learning water holes is what determines what kind of knowledge or what kind of learning that you are having.
Yeah, well said. I think as leaders that we are now working in a world which is constantly changing and evolving. The technology landscape is transforming every few months now. Forget about few years. With all the all the hype around AI and all of that, the landscape is changing so fast that if you do not have the diversity of experiences, if you don't have the ability to consistently learn from multiple different sources, you are going to be found wanting when it comes to the sense making part that you spoke about earlier. As one of the leaders, one of the responsibilities that we have is to make sense of the world. And in order to make sense of the world, I think it is important that we are able to seek inputs from various areas of life, various industries, various technologies, various people, various perspectives, in order for us to have enough inputs to make sense of, so that we are able to come to a conclusion, make a decision, and move forward. And I think you made it, you said it really well, that you need to have a diversity of watering holes where you go to seek your learning. So you didn't answer what you're learning right now.
Yeah, no. So I'm right now learning the impact of AI on marketing as a function. And when I say learning, I actually mean it, because I'm doing hands-on workshops these days to really put together those AI-led programs into action. Okay, because as part of my next career journey, I'm setting up a marketing strategy consulting firm. Okay, so as I do that, and I kind of make sense of what's available and what's changing, I think it is important for me to kind of immerse myself into how and what it looks like in the marketing world. So actually, I signed up into a formal course in SMU, which is a program which runs twice a week, and then there are practical workshops. I don't know how many people have taken professional license to ChatGPT 4. If one has not, and one is listening to this podcast, I would strongly recommend to take a professional license, which cost only about $14 a month for a ChatGPT versus maybe watching Netflix of sorts. So and then I'm actually learning API connectivity and stuff like that, because when I went to this class in SMU, everybody was talking about Zaps, and I had frankly no clue about what a Zap is all about. Okay,
Mm.
and when I asked somebody saying what is Zap, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, the guy doesn't know even Zap." And then I later realized Zapier or Zap abbreviates to Zapier, which is nothing but a API
Integration tool. Yeah.
platform which can connect anything to anything. And it is amazing.
Yeah.
So my thinking process is that I think everybody should or will need to learn coding very soon. And hence faster and quicker you kind of transition into that, I think better it is going to be.
Yeah. I hear you. I'm right now trying to learn to use ChatGPT to build a very small, very simple iPhone app, which I can then deploy. Hope sometime soon to deploy on the Apple Store, just to understand, the generative AI's potential in generating code. So let's see where that takes me. So we are getting close to the time that we have for us. Is there a specific resource? Could be a book, movie, a blog, it could be a course that you have done from a personal branding point of view that you would like to recommend to the audience to check out?
See, I think LinkedIn has huge resources on personal branding. And I would say that aligns with the with our most of us professional goals as well, because LinkedIn would be one of the biggest medium for us to kind of really brand or position ourselves. So I would say if you go to the learning library at LinkedIn, there are huge number of courses, including building personal brand, amplification of messaging, developing your voice. There are many such courses which one can kind of really benefit from LinkedIn. What you can do is, which not many people know, is that you can measure the impact of what you are doing with LinkedIn or at LinkedIn, and is it helping or not. So there is a very simple matrix called SSI score. Okay, if you look at your SSI score at the start of your LinkedIn or your branding journey, and if you look at maybe let's say 1 month or 6 months, 6 weeks down the line, you will be able to see the movement in your SSI score. SSI stands for Social Selling Index. That's a term that LinkedIn coined something at least about 10-15 years back. So if you see your SSI score moving, then you know that what you're doing is working, and what you're doing is going to help you gain or build your personal brand. Mukesh, you are muted.
As you were talking, I was checking my SSI score and it says 71 out of 100. I do not know whether it is good or bad, but let's
Yeah,
see
ideally for
how
somebody like you, I would expect your SSI score should be in late 80s.
okay, so there is a lot of work to be done to improve that. So good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah. My
So
SSI score should be somewhere around 85 or so.
nice. So we're getting close to the end, right? So we end all of our conversations with one specific question, which is the show is called Pushing Beyond the Obvious. So what is so obvious to you that people around you always miss and which makes you go, "Ugh."
You know, um, uh, this is so obvious that I don't have to think too much. And I've got to realize this over last couple of months a lot more. And what is obvious to me and what people miss is that your life and your work are two different things. Don't intertwine them as much or so much that you're not able to kind of differentiate and smell the roses of life as you move along your professional years.
Very, very well said. Thank you so much, Vineet, for taking time and talking to me today. And I'm wishing you all the very best for your marketing strategy firm. And yeah, thanks everyone else for listening, watching. And until next time, this is Mukesh Gupta signing off. Take care, stay safe, and
Thank
have
you.
fun.
Thanks for having me.